Hello everyone, welcome to the presentation. My name is A.K.M. Amanatullah and I am a student of the University of British Columbia, Okanagan campus. My co-authors are Dr. William Delamere and Dr. Khalad Hasan. And today I'm going to present our work on exploring user pointing performance on large displays with different curvatures in virtual reality. As you all might know, large displays are popular for data visualization, collaboration, and entertainment purposes. These displays offer users detailed information and increase task performance and user satisfaction. Consequently, researchers explored users' performance to interact with large displays. For instance, they explored users' pointing performance on large flat displays in previous literature. The popularity of curved screens are on the rise, as all parts of the display, even the far corners, are located at a similar distance from the user when he stands at the center of the screen. This leads to overall higher viewing preference and higher task performance for visual tasks such as text search and graph comparison tasks. However, there has been little to no research focusing on pointing performance on curved displays, as these displays require a large space and high hardware costs. Therefore, in this research, we looked at pointing performance on large displays with varying display curvatures, that is, the level which the display are curved. So we have three main contributions. We performed a comprehensive exploration on the effect of display curvatures on pointing performance for large displays in VR. We further considered the comparison of linear and angular measurements to define task conditions. And third, we analyzed our results with three different Fitts law variations that we found from previous studies for distal pointing in VR. Now we will go through the related works. To our best knowledge, only two papers considered pointing on curved displays. On the left, we see Henneke et al. Considered target width, amplitude, target direction, and display region for 2D pointing tasks, and they had two input modalities, which were direct touch and mouse, for a 42-inch curved display. And their results showed that Fitts law applies to the curved display irrespective of different input types, which for their case was touch and mouse. On the right, we see Enz et al. Conducted a 1D Fitts law study. They did it in a cave environment, and the targets were arranged in a circular orientation. They considered different field of views, and what they observed was if you increase the field of view of the user, then it leads to improved user performance. Now, here are some other works that worked on pointing in VR. Although target pointing has been well explored in previous papers, they focused on 3D target selection and not with virtual displays, flat or curved. So this leaves a complete research field unexplored, that is the exploration of large flat and curved displays that are rendered inside virtual reality in a head-mounted display. For large flat displays, we see work by Copper et al. He showed that for a distal pointing task, the regular Fitts law formula does not work well, as the user can be located at different distances from the display. And they recommended to use angular measurements for both target width and target amplitude. However, Shoemaker et al. Showed that linear measurements can model task performance better than angular measurements, and they used the two parts Fitts law formula variation. So in our study, we considered three Fitts law models, and these models are used to predict movement time, that is the task completion time. So we see in the first formula, that is the most commonly used formula for Fitts law, and in the image, we see that the target amplitude is the distance between the midpoints of the two targets that have a width of W. In the second formula, we call it the two-part model. It considers the effect of width and amplitude separately, which is proposed by Shoemaker in 2012. The third formula is the peephole formula, and this can be applied to VR devices as it has a limited field of view and it involves two tasks. First is searching for the task and then selecting the target. So for our study, we have three main goals. One, to identify the user's pointing performance for different display curvatures. 2. To establish which measurement unit, linear or angular, we should use to define experimental conditions. And 3. To establish which Fitts law model variation performs better. So let's move on. We included 4 display curvatures, which are 2000R, 4000R, 6000R flat. And here, the numbers such as 2000 refer to the radius in millimeters, or so 2000 millimeters or 2 meters, while the flat display has a curvature of infinity. In our case, the display height was set to 3 meters. Here we see the linear measurements, and so we use 2 meter, 9 meter, and 16 meter as the target amplitudes, and 0.1 meter, 0.3 meter, and 0.5 meter as the target width. And here, the linear measurements correspond to the arc length based on the circular region of the display. And by using these width and amplitude combinations, we had 9 index of difficulties, also known as IDs, that range from 2.32 to 7.33 bits. Here are the task conditions on the same 6000R display for the angular measurements. And for angular measurements, we use 3 amplitudes, which are 20 degree, 90 degree, 160 degree, and 1 degree, 3 degree, 5 degree as the target width. And these have the same ID range, which is from 2.32 to 7.33 bits. We have 2 measurements, linear and angular, and for each measurement, we have 3 independent variables, which is display curvature, target width, and target amplitude. The width and the amplitude lead to 9 different index of difficulties or IDs, and each ID has to be repeated 10 times in our study. So, and also we separately counterbalance the display curvature across participants. We recruited 12 participants for the study. The measurements of our study was movement time, that is time to select the target, endpoint deviation, which is the distance between the target center and the selection point, and the error rate is the percentage of trials which had errors over the total number of trials. And we used the Oculus Quest 2 and we wrote our program in Unity. So here is the task demo. In this demo, you see a user pointing in the 2000R display and also the 6000R display. So the user manipulates the ray using the controller, and they are instructed to move the endpoint of the ray on the target, and then they can select it. So, and they were standing 4 meters away from the display center. So here are the results. So we can see for all conditions, this is the linear condition, this is the angular condition. So the 2000R display always had the lowest performance, which is a higher task completion time or movement time. Additionally, pointing on the 4000R and the flat is significantly faster than the 6000R display for the linear condition. And flat is significantly faster than the 2000R and the 4000R for the angular condition. So overall, we can say that the less curved the displays are, the higher the performance they have for both linear and angular condition, as the 2000R display performed the worst. Here we see the results of the Fitts law throughput analysis, and for the linear condition, we see that the display curvature has a significant effect on throughput, and results reveal that only the 4000R has significantly higher throughput than the 2000R display, whereas for the angular condition, there is no significance of display curvature on the throughput. So we use 3 Fitts law variations. This is the 1 part, the 2 part, and the peephole for distal pointing in VR. In general, we found that the R-square values were overall over 0.9, and we used the Burnham and Anderson criteria to find significant difference between the models using the AIC and the BIC values. So we found that the two-part model was significantly better than the one-part and the peephole model. We also found that the peephole model was better than the one-part model. So the present work is motivated by the opportunity to explore curved displays without physical constraints. But VR has one problem, which is the limited field of view of head-mounted displays. And in our case, the display had a 90-degree field of view. And also, we only considered the fixed distance of 4 meters from the screen. So in future works, we can look into the field of view condition more, as we can consider different field of view devices. And also we can see how interaction distance affects pointing performance. In the future, we can also explore the pointing performance between a virtual display and a physical display. So to conclude, we found that pointing on displays which are less curved are significantly faster than the 2000R display for both the linear and the angular condition. And the participants, they generally preferred the curved display over the flat display, even if the performance wasn't good on the curved displays. And from our results, we recommend that users use angular measurements, as we found no significance of the measurement condition on throughput for the angular condition. And finally, we recommend to use two-part model, as it was significantly better than the one-part model and the peephole model. We would like to thank Joel, Garth, and Taylor, who are from the UBC Okanagan's VEMS lab, for providing us access to their large display facility. And we want to say thank you for your time, and feel free to ask questions.